And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. When I did show prep, we had a sunspot forming. Actually, one formed right down here. See that active region there? We're looking at the colorized magnetogram here, and sunspot 27, whatever it is, 2733, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever that sunspot is up there in the northeast, it's degraded to the point where it's barely a sunspot anymore. Let's get on to some other stuff. First, we'll look at the 304 angstroms slash 171 angstroms fade. There you have that. Great view of that. And let's do some custom helio viewer movies. Here's a close-up of that large active region. There is a coronal hole in front of it, and we did experience, it looks like a solar flare there. Also, if you watch this region up here, not there, this region up here, you'll see a filament moving across there. Right there, you can see that filament move across. So, a bunch of activity happening right now. And again, there is a sunspot in the southwest portion of the sun as well. At least there was half an hour ago. Next, here's the same view in 171 angstroms. And there you can see that flaring event. It looked like a flare. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Oh, before we move on, I've discovered a spaceship the size of California. Have you seen it? Oh, noes! Stop the soulless presses. Make sure you tell Gina Maria Colvin Hill or Mr. MBB333 that we found a spaceship the size of California, which it's only visible in the ionized emission UV spectra of iron 8 and iron 21 because reasons. Follow us on Twitter to see stuff like that. And check it out. We've discovered another spaceship, which is not a spaceship either. But out at Stereo A, we see a little bit of radiation striking the aperture, most likely, as that does not look like it's coming out of the sun in any way. It's probably a local event. So yeah, maybe it is a spaceship, folks. Maybe it's a spaceship. What do you think? Is it a spaceship? Maybe it's a TIE fighter. Maybe it's a TIE fighter buzzing Stereo A. Who knows? Who knows, folks? Could be a spaceship. Just saying. By the way, if you're wondering where Stereo A is located, it's out here at Lagrange point 5, and it's looking at the sun like this, which means coronal mass ejections would move off to the right. Here's that 171 angstroms view of that sunspot, which has actually degraded. Again, it's we barely see any umbre associated with it now. And here's a 94 angstroms view as well, giving you a view of that that sunspot down in the south as well. Again, that one's located right here. And if that maintains its umbre for long enough, and there actually were multiple umbre. It's actually a beta class at the moment that I looked before I did the show prep. And let's get into more data. First, let me check the life of the stream here. And we are good to go. By the way, today's Daily Space Weather is titled, OMG, Stop the Soulless Presses! Extraterrestrials show themselves and spammed! Yeah, we got spammed hard, folks. I'll get to it in a minute. 10.7 centimeter radial flux still at 72 solar flux units. There's the 3-year approximately chart of the 10.7 centimeter radial flux coming out of the solar minimum. And we're in geomagnetic unrest conditions. We see some significant aurora, some significant magnetic perturbations at the ground level and in geospace. We'll get to it. First, the X-ray flux. And there you have the X-ray flux. We have some missing data here. And there was actually a flare happening at that point. I would say it's probably a high B-class flare from the way the steepness of the graph looks, but we do not see the data. Oops, goes 16. And the proton flux is pretty flatlined there. No surprises there. We haven't seen any major coronal mass ejection strikes. We've seen an increase, a big-time ramp-up in the solar wind speed, which is driving geomagnetic unrest on and off for the past about 12 hours. And here you can see the speed is reached all the way up to about 533, so we're streaming live here at the max speed that we've seen. Looks like it might be leveling off there. I would suggest it probably is. And we see the solar wind density ramping down at the same time, so perhaps it's leveled out there. BTBZ are pretty divergent from the zero line, although they've converged a little bit in the last hour or so. Current solar wind speed 514 kilometers a second. Current solar wind density 8.43. And it's causing quite a bit of turbulence in geospace. Here's 4 hours of geospace movies. And you can see some high velocity regions there in the magnetotail and around the poles, shown in green and blue. Very high velocity showing up there. So it's a significant geomagnetic unrest here, despite the KP index only being at 4. Here's the density. You can see some major perturbations happening there. Again, 4 hours of data. We only usually show the pressure, but sometimes when we see more interesting data, we'll show the other top panes. Quite interesting there, some high density areas. And here's the pressure, and some very, very high pressure. I'm sure it's off the scale there, as this scale only goes from 0 to 1.5 nanopascals. I'll let that play through a second time. The electron flux is quite low, and it's going to stay low until this subsides. And when it does subside, it's going to go up much higher again. That's the standard order of business. You can see some pretty anomalous things associated with that high-speed solar wind, that coronal hole wind stream. Quite a high-speed coronal hole wind stream, and it's kicking off some auroras. So if you're in places like, even all the way down to southern Canada there, you could actually have some aurora. Let's see, at the end of the video here, could have some significant aurora. Oh, it shuts down for a minute and then it kicks right back up. It looks like some aurora should be visible in places like northern Minnesota and North Dakota. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations. And we're going to show you the polar view as well. So we see some major ground magnetic perturbations. Keep in mind, folks, we've got 2 north poles, one over here, and the south pole is someplace around here. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data from the global view. Significant perturbations coming straight out of the oceans, as well as major perturbations over, southern Canada there, Antarctica. Here's the polar view, and our regular viewers are probably not surprised the way this looks a bit spiral in shape, as this is where the field-aligned currents interact with the magnetic fields. So there's lots of data on the magnetosphere during this time of geomagnetic unrest. And what's next is power outages. Let's see what's going on as far as power outages. Some power is out. Where? California. Probably not caused by induction. It's only 11,000 power outages there of 11 million tracked, not too shabby. And there's the GOES magnetometer showing very spiky readings there. No real surprise there, as a whole bunch of plasma just struck. At least high velocity plasma struck. Mostly made of hydrogen nuclei, folks. Hydrogen nuclei. If you've got ideas as to why there's so much hydrogen in the universe, please leave us a comment. Now we're looking at the Gong 2 data here, and it's very old. We're looking at data that's 8 hours and 21 minutes old here. And we see some changes on the far side of the sun regarding the current sheet polarity. North pole polarity shown in red, North pole polarity shown in green, South pole polarity shown in red. Here's a line of sight field plot, also old data. I have nothing to say about it because it's too old for me to really care. It's usually about 2 hours old. And here is the magnetic field diagram of the solar corona. And we do see some changes happening here in the past couple of days. This is proving to be an interesting data set here. I kind of like it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of this data set. It shows closed field force lines in pink, coronal hole potential field force lines in purple, and closed potential field force lines in black. And it looks like the B field got pulled up there toward the end of the video. Pulled up and then released, actually. So an indication that that sunspot in the northeast is weakening. And welcome to other SMASH lights. We're not doing a separate video. We've had some issues regarding our affiliate link as well as other stuff. So right now you cannot sign up for the forum. Current users should be good to go. We've had some issues. We'll get to it in a minute. smAsho.org to find our social media links and so on, as well as to our stores and our affiliate link. Let's talk about Instagram. Are you familiar with FPS Doug? Now, FPS Doug is just awesome. And he's the guy associated with Boom Headshot. Have you ever heard Boom Headshot? You've heard that online, right? Well, it's because of this guy from an organization called Pure Ownage, spelled Pwnage. Pure Ownage, yes. FPS Doug. He's hilarious. And he's responsible for quotes such as, "I even heard there are no respawn points in RL." Sometimes I think maybe I should just join the army. It's basically like FPS, except better graphics. But what happens if I get lag out there? I'm dead. And plus, I even heard there are no respawn points in RL, meaning real life. Yeah, there are no respawn points in RL, Doug. Well done. By the way, I got some killer photos of the moon last night. Check it out. Splentacular. The now gibbous waxing. A fantastic view of some fall foliage actually already showing up since we've already had nights in the 30s here in eastern Pennsylvania. And on an unrelated note, suck it, Tom Wolfe. By the way, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube. It's youtube.com/smashomash. Go over there, check out our playlists. Visit our links. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell your science noobs and your science pros. Whoever unsubscribed from BitChute, we didn't need you anyway, sucker. Anyway, we got 220 subs over there on BitChute, and we get hundreds more views per day over there than we do on YouTube. Maybe because we're not shadow banned. I don't know. Leave a comment if you think we're shadow banned. Oh my gosh, it sounds just like me, that guy. Anyway, we're streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smAshomash. And whoever unsubscribed over there, we didn't need you either. And if you're the same person, well, then I guess we've just not needed you twice. Twitch.tv/smAshomash. We're going to talk cosmology for a quick moment and head down the cosmology rabbit hole here at the Smash News Network. The least busted name in news. And don't forget to check out our little marquee down there. This just in, visit our sites or you'll be sent to a Chinese re-education camp. I don't know if you knew. Let's head down that rabbit hole. One of the reasons we study cosmology is to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is. So it's kind of important, as there are vast swaths of physics, astrophysics, and cosmology especially being rewritten, and I'm very interested in that, as well as a unified theory of physics. And hey, since COVID's shaped like a star and, it's called coronavirus, I consider COVID part of cosmology. Now, we've had a lot of people suggesting things like, viruses, maybe they come from outer space, since it's tough to evolutionary. Oh my God! It's tough to evolutionarily figure it out. I'm just going to leave you there, COVID. Check it out. A Henry Ford study indicates that UVC light is effective for killing COVID-19 on N95 masks. Yes. Who knew, folks? Who knew? Now, I considered this plausible a long time ago which is why I added a UVC light to our affiliate link so that you too can turn on your UVC light and go, sorry, COVID, this is going to hurt you more than it hurts me. And just kind of, whoops, see ya. It's only $21.49. It's got a nice magnet on the base, and it's USB rechargeable. What more could you possibly ask for? Check it out. It also kills things like bacteria and fungus. You'll find these in industrial locations like food production sites, larger ones mounted to the wall. That's to kill stuff like COVID, which is actually very fragile, like most viruses. It can't put up with a lot of stress. And thanks to Smash staff, she fixed our affiliate links. They are back with a vengeance. Actually, I don't know if there'll be a vengeance, as I'm not really into vengeance, except in things like gaming and sports. I save all my vengeance for gaming and sports, and I don't do vengeance in RL. I allow things to work out themselves, and I don't hold grudges. If you've been banished from my presence until the year 2040, I'll see you in the year 2040. We've even got Trident gum and baking soda and Blue Tech keyboards and shark socks and bike lights and all kinds of things. Look for this to be organized later. And check it out. We've changed the air fryer to the purple one. And mum's the word on the purple air fryer, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we're going to feature a video on that in November. Check this one out. Turns out old dogs can be taught new tricks. Now, I knew this ever since watching the Mythbusters episode about it. But cognitive decline has been studied in dogs using the modified Vienna canine cognitive battery. And it turns out that behavioral changes in aged dogs isn't really determined by what their previous diet was. But you can teach them new tricks. So it's not true. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And yeah. But there is some connection between cognitive decline, sociability, boldness, dependency, and problem solving. What doesn't affect it so much is trainability and activity independence. So that's actually a good thing. Did you know that sugar molecules play an active role in SARS-CoV-2 infection? Yeah, there are sugar molecules in the spike proteins that are the binding agent between the coronavirus and your own cells. Perhaps read that article on SciTech Daily about it. I'm not going to comment further because I find SARS-CoV-2 to be irrelevant. I'll tell you who's not irrelevant or made in China. Our patrons. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't done so. And the website is patreon.com/smashomash. Now we update this once a month at the beginning of a month after payments come through. Thanks again to our patrons. And there's a reason why we provide you with the most up-to-date information typically. And that's because you, unlike other folks, have opened up your no longer cobweb-encrusted wallets and sent us a couple bucks per month. There are 9 tiers over there. Again, it's patreon.com/smashomash, the true source of funding for the content. And I've decided to update the COVIDiots because today I'm playing the COVIDiot. Because, oh noes, looky here, it's an alien spacecraft. Tell everybody about it. It's so amazing, like magic to those who have no clue what they're talking about. Oh my God, it's a spaceship the size of California. The reason it only appears in iron emission spectra is just, it's, wake up people. This spaceship only appears in that emission spectra because reasons. Now, we've been spammed at smashomash.com/forum, and it's pretty serious. Allow me to vanish because, frankly, I'm creeped out by it. And yeah, somebody's trying to sell fake degrees through smashomash.com/forum, so that's why you can't register right now. And we're going to have a bunch of hits now because of people searching for fake degrees. An indication that the Chinese government is complicit through their State Department by verifying fake college degrees. Isn't that great? So there might be people in a PhD program near you that don't have a degree, but are in the program anyway. There's some nice email addresses here. I don't know if it's going to do anything, but I translated one of the spam posts, and in the past 24 hours, we've had like something like 3,500 posts at smashamash.com/forum. If you already are a member there, you'll be fine. If you want to be a new member, you may have to wait for technical difficulties to cease. As, for instance, the Sun forum, it now has, check this out, 96 pages. It has 96 pages of posts. Watch. No, wait. Oh, 95 pages. My bad. So check it out. Here's the last legit post. And then, boom, spammed. Look at the spam. It's serious spam, folks. Anyway, what's not spam is our Teespring store. We've changed the featured products. Perhaps consider picking up a Mansa shirt. Make America not suck again. Wouldn't you like to see that happen? How about in charcoal gray? And it looks like there's some deals going on. Save in shipping by ordering multiple units. Maybe get yourself a Mansa shirt. Or how about a nice blue All Things Matter hoodie? Yes. Our newest designs are going to feature color coordinated designs to the shirt that it's going on, or whatever piece of clothing it goes on. Look for lots more stuff in the Teespring stores. We're super excited about it. Super stoked about the Teespring stores. You can link to all of that stuff from smashomash.org, which will redirect you to smashomash.com. That particular store is linked to the smAsho store, yes. And here ends another Smash Lights. It won't be separate. It'll be part of the daily space weather. Here's a 1-year graph of the relativistic electron flux. And we are back at quite low levels, as I've stated. We do see some charging hazards here over northern South America, Florida, actually, and Central America. And we're seeing a forecast for an increase here over the next 3 days here. 5 days. 3 days. First shalt thou pull out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3. No more, no less. 3 shall be the number of the counting, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, neither shalt thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thou the holy hand grenade of Antioch at their foes, who, being naughty in my sight, shall snuff it. There's the 3-day chart of the electron flux. And here is the visualization of the air column. And do we see some GPS errors in Florida? Indeed, it looks like we did there. Yes. Yes. Some high electron flux over Florida. Shout out to Mothra. Go out and use your GPS. You may find errors. You may find yourself traveling at thousands of miles per hour in Missouri instead of where you're really located. Anyway, that's a total electron content forecast, and we do see some anomalies here where we see high levels of electron flux at nighttime. Yes, usually the high levels are at noon around the equator. But at the equinox, things get a little hinky. The closer to the equinox you get, folks, the more likely you are to see a geomagnetic storm when we see protonic collision. Now we're looking at just one layer of the atmosphere here, folks. This is just the ionosphere layer, and it's looking a little anomalous. It's actually quite anomalous here. So let me just make sure that the stream is good. We are good. Thanks for leaving a comment, Elkman. Smiley face to you too. Here's the latest image. And if there it is, it's at 8 o'clock Universal Time. You can see we're pretty heavily charged here at night over on this side, and it's pretty anomalous ionosphere going on right now. We don't always see ionospheric anomalies at the same time as geomagnetic unrest, so leave us a comment if you know how that relates to earthquake risks, if that relates to earthquake risks, and what the physical mechanism suggested might be. Next, we're going to look at where things like planets are located in the solar system. There's where they seem to be. I like to use theplanetstoday.com. This is the mobile view, by the way, as it's the more simple view of the solar system. Great for visuals during our daily space weather. There's where things will be on October 1st, full moon on October 1st. It's a blue moon, as it's a Halloween full moon in October, and we're doing fundraisers. We're going to have a contest, and we're going to give somebody a shirt, probably. More details about what that is later. If you've got ideas about what to do with the contest, I have a feeling it'll be something between randomness and trivia. I like to use in-the-sky to make sky charts, and I like to face mine to the south and draw in the ecliptic. If you're up before dawn, you may see the third brightest object in the sky, Venus. And if you're a real cosmology nerd like me, you may read the forum at smashomash.com/forum. In the cosmology forum, there's a whole section about Deneb. Yeah, it's the celestial North Pole at the other end of the precessional cycle. The axial wobble of the Earth's inclination that causes constellations to change spots that the ancients somehow knew about. Don't you find, anyway, moving on, since it's a daily space weather, to the earthquake report of the past 24. And we see a lull in earthquakes continuing. Here's a deep one striking Fiji at 14:23 yesterday. It's at 540 kilometers depth, which is only about 520 kilometers deeper than anybody's ever drilled, by the way. Also, here is a 4.3 magnitude quake at Timor-Leste. It's at 128.2 kilometers depth. The largest of the past 24, I think, was this 5.8 in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. There's another rather deep quake at Tonga, nearly 95 kilometers depth on that one. So please have an earthquake plan if you're in an earthquake-prone zone, places like this. And this. And this. Know which building facades may collapse. Look at that. There's an earthquake right in the middle of the box I drew. What's up with that, yo? What's up with that? 2.5 at Washington. Ah. Look at that. Right near Everett. Right at the Lord Hill Regional Park. Leave us a comment if you felt that quake. Yeah. It's a Cascadia quake, folks. And the volcano rundown includes Popocatépetl, which is exploding and producing a 20,000-foot ash plume. Sangay, also exploding, producing a 21,000-foot ash plume. Please don't hang glide over the caldera. Revenador exploding. Flight level 150. It's producing a 15,000-foot tall plume of ash. Please do not attempt to pole vault that caldera. And Sabancay is exploding. Please don't do a tightrope walk over the caldera. It's producing a 23,000-foot plume of ash. That could be unhealthful. And we need the views on YouTube. And we need people to purchase the clothing and then go wear it and tell their friends and foes, science noobs, and science pros. A lot of red flag warnings there in the northern Rockies. And the flood warnings are subsisting a little bit, but still some problems on the Gulf Coast. Coastal flood advisory still showing up there, even in the North Atlantic coast of Florida. Next, looking at jet streams, here are the eastern jets. Ah, yes, pardon my heavy key pressing, folks. My gaming sensibilities have never dried up. Anyway, there are the jet streams of the eastern world. What we're looking at here are the winds at flight level 250 at nullschool.net, if you're wondering. There are the surface winds of the west. And here's, I'm sorry, that's 25 hectopascal, actually. It's a measurement of the pressure, folks. And we've got a pretty serious anticyclone here over Cuba. Should we name it? Leave us a comment if you have a CNN anchor that you'd like us to name that after. We've already used Don Lemon, Wolf Blitzer, Brian Stelter. Did we use Brian Stelter yet? I think we used Brian Stelter. Let us know if you want to name this anticyclone. That is a high pressure zone, folks. I don't have to look at the water vapor map. I just know Because I'm a real meteorologist who got my start in meteorology by riding a bike and wanting to be really good at weather forecasting. Now I'm too good for my own good. Shout out to our European and African viewers. There is the water vapor map for y'all. Here's the water vapor map for the Far East and Oceania. How about a water vapor map for the Americas? It's actually a significant anticyclone. The high is probably somewhere way over here. But the whole Gulf of Mexico is straight up clockwise rotating there. A pretty significant anticyclone there. Anticyclones, by the way, for you new viewers, they rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere, and they're typically consisting of dry air and associated with high pressure. Next, looking at the transient outbursts of Cygnus X3. Why? Because it's one of the only point sources known for cosmic ray flux. Please leave a comment if you have an idea of how much of an input to the sun Cygnus X3 is. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it's been sending protons through your head for your whole life. Leave us a comment if you have an idea as to how many protons are hitting the sun. The answer is clearly most of them, but in any case, it's just coming out of its quiescent state here. We need radio astronomers to check this out, as it's now, in the past few days, it's moved into the 0.03 range, which is right near its baseline. So I look at this every couple of days because I'm interested to see when this thing comes out of its quiescent state. It's been in an extended quiescent state here, although not as extensive as this one, which is the most extensive quiescent state we've measured for Cygnus X3, otherwise known as Deneb, the tail of the swan. And we use the Neil Garrel Swift Observatory for that. We ain't doing cosmic rays today, but if you'd like to see the cosmic ray rundown, watch yesterday's daily space weather video. We did a rundown. Now, one of the things that cosmic rays do is they cause low clouds to form. So yet another reason to check out windy.com. It's got a great console for your desktop as well as for your mobile device. And low clouds in the lower troposphere around the 12,000 foot and lower range are the part of the atmosphere that's the densest, and that's typically where cosmic ray flux can cause clouds to nucleate. A shocking thing to understand, folks, is that a collection of galaxies and or stars could suddenly turn on and make the Earth cloudy for thousands of years. I know, it sounds pretty shady, right? Well, it would be shady. You would get warmer nights and colder days, just like we're getting now, at high levels of cosmic ray flux. Although not the highest levels of cosmic ray flux. Those were measured at the last solar minimum, around 2010. And let's put the pressure back on here, as we do most days, as we like to show people the data so they can understand the way it relates. And check out that low off the southwestern coast of Greenland. It's moving on up to the Arctic. And don't worry about melting of the Antarctic. Antarctica formed 34 million years ago, when it was 3 degrees Celsius warmer than it is today. Here's where we expect pressure cells to be according to the GFS forecast. Another major anticyclone in between the Azores and Portugal. A major high-pressure zone. You can see that clockwise rotation once again. An anticyclone. By the way, Jupiter's Great Red Spot is an anticyclone, not a storm. That would be a low-pressure system. High-pressure systems represent pressure, more protons, denser air, drier air. Moister air is associated with lows, and precipitation. What do we got next? Lightningmaps.org. And we see some terrestrial lightning. Hey, Wisconsin. How's the cheese, Wisconsin? I can never go on vacation to Wisconsin. I'll never leave because I like cheese too much. Hey, Oneida County Memorial Forest. There's thunder rolling in. I'll bet you there's nobody there. Hey, Rhinelander. There's thunder to your west. Rhinelander. That sounds amazing. Please leave a comment if you've been to the Rhineland-Pfalz. And there's a U.S. Doppler. We see some pretty serious band of thunderstorms there across central Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. Please leave a comment if you know who Babe Winkleman is. Maybe I'll tell you later. And we actually do see a bunch of low clouds here. A bunch of low clouds. You can sort of see them on this map right there. There's some. Here there's some in the ocean. Most likely those are low clouds. And let's take a look at the water vapor map there for anybody in places like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. So you can see where the moisture's headed. It's an atmospheric creek. And the jet stream's going to keep this moving due east, it looks like. Anyway, there's your water vapor map, giving you ideas of what will happen with the weather next when the Doppler radar doesn't tell you. And let's take a look at my situation, as it looks like we've got some variable skies. It was very warm last night, and I slept very badly. And we've got some moisture rolling through. And if you're wondering where I'm located, new viewers, I'm about there in the Lehigh Valley. Don't stalk me. You won't find me. And it's time to vanish. Pronto. Because we got to get this show on the road here. Thanks to the Smash team for tuning in, whether you viewed live or you viewed Memorex. And thank you for flying American Smash Waves. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane at all times. And we've got a bonus features. We'll take a look at the local yellow dwarf and 304 angstroms. And there you can see that sunspot I called earlier, the one in the south. Don't get fixated, folks. Don't get ossified on your beliefs. It looks like we could have another one forming here as well. But this was certainly a sunspot when I did show prep. They have to be a sunspot for over 12 hours to get a name. That looks like a sunspot. That does not look like a sunspot. And that looks like it's not a sunspot either. Let's take a look at the intensity gram. And we barely see ombre associated with this one. This one center north. I don't really see ombre there. And this one down here, that is certainly an umbra. It's a very small one. It's very weak looking. It's actually degraded since I did show prep, but nonetheless, a sunspot is a sunspot is a sunspot. If you see that dark umbral core, where you can see all the way down to the condensed matter, very, very flat vibrational lattice that emits light on the surface of the condensed matter star known as the sun, well, that's why it's dark. It's because when you look directly at a very flat vibrational lattice, it will not emit light in your direction. It emits light at an angle. And that's basically why sunspots are dark, folks. It's because they're very flat. And vibrational lattice systems emit light like a metal. And it all has to do with black body radiation and so on. Let's don't get too in depth into it. Let's close things down, as it's time to get out of here. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries, and that covidiocy absent from your location, and that spam absent from your web forums.